our two research institutions, VCU and UVA, to achieve comprehensive cancer center status. There is no fiscal impact for the bill. There may be some people here who Chairman has asked to speak.
Okay, is there any questions? Hey, if anyone would like to come up and speak in favor of House Bill 764, please come up. As we move forward, if you would state your name and if you are representing a particular group. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, good afternoon. I'm Matt Conrad, representing VCU, in particular Massey Cancer Center. We are grateful for this committee's historic support for VCU's Massey Cancer Center. Thanks to ongoing bipartisan support, we currently receive over $12 million per year of general fund support for life-saving research at VCU across the Commonwealth, but particularly in the Richmond metropolitan area and across the Tobacco Commission footprint. Massey Cancer Center is one of only 69 National Cancer Institute designated centers in the United States, and we continue to pursue comprehensive status. We have held a core NCI grant since 1975, and we look forward to this continued opportunity for collaboration. Thank the Chairman for this bill and his interest.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please come up and state your name.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Betsy Daly, University of Virginia. First of all, I'd just like to thank Delegate Jones and this committee for its support, as Matt said, for research and the leadership that this committee has shown in terms of supporting research in recent years, especially with the creation of the VRIC, the Innova Bioinformatics Initiative, the support for capital outlay and capital outlay for research as well as equipment. All of us in higher education know that research is vital to job creation and attraction of new business and industry to the Commonwealth, and we're eager to expand our efforts in this arena. Finally, University of Virginia has a track record of collaboration with a number of institutions in health sciences, most recently George Mason with Innova and also Virginia Tech at Carillion, and we look forward to exploring further opportunities for collaboration.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in favor? Anyone like to speak in opposition? Any other questions for the report? Okay, there's a motion to report and seconded. Any discussion? Please record your votes. Bill passes 6-0. Next, we have House Bill 919.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is Delegate Jones's bill to implement the recommendations that JLARC had with regard to the community college system and issues around transfer, articulation, and dual enrollment. What the bill does, it does several things. In section 23.1-203, it basically charges SHEV to develop guidelines related to a uniform certificate of general studies as well as a passport program. These were two concepts that have been moving forward to be able to create, if you will, a basket of accepted classes, be it 15 credit or 30 credits, so that it would transfer to senior institutions. In 23.1-907, it mandates the actual passport, the 15 credit passport program, 30 credit uniform certificate of general studies. It also has, again, SHEV creating some guidelines to map pathways from 2-year to 4-year institutions so that students, parents know what they take and which direction they go for a particular program and how that's going to transfer. And then it also has requires a transfer of effectiveness report to look at things such as the completion rates, time to degree, credit accumulation, etc. In 23.1-908, it creates a comprehensive transfer agreement portal. So there is one place for students, parents to go to see what transfer agreements are in place, what courses transfer and their equivalency at the senior institution. In 23.1-2904, it mandates that there's some standardization of programs, of courses across the community college system so that senior institutions know that when you take a class at one community college or another, it's of the same level of quality. It also creates for some quality assurance. The other sections of the bill would clarify about dual enrollment and whether those courses meet the standards of the passport program, the uniform certificate as a general elective, or won't transfer. So that, again, that students and parents know when they take something, what it's going to mean for them down the road. And then lastly, it requires that the passport program and the uniform certificate program be part of the online Virginia network. There is one line amendment that the chairman asked to be, and that's in front of you, asked to be included in this, which would provide for some flexibility and exemption for BMI, given their status in terms of how their programs work. And
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor of alignment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
finally, Mr. Chairman, there is no fiscal impact to the legislation.
Okay, House Bill 919, would anyone like to speak in favor of this?
Mr. Chairman, member of the committee, Tom Smith with the Superintendent's Association. We're very excited about this bill. As you know, more and more our high schools are involved with the dual enrollment in the community college system, and it's critical that parents have clarity as to what that means, and when they're setting up for courses, that they know where they're going to head with them. So we're excited about this, and we would like you to pass it on.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, I'm Ellen Davenport with the community college system, and this bill does promulgate some of the recommendations from the JLARC report that was issued last September. I would like to say that we have been trying to work on some amendments, other amendments for the bill. It does have a fiscal impact. A budget amendment has been filed to support the portal aspect of the bill. And that is something that has been filed in the Appropriations Committee. There's a companion bill in the Senate, Senate Bill 631, and there are also amendments on that side, so I just wanted to mention that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone like to speak in opposition? Report? All right, there's a motion to report and seconded as amended. Any discussion? Please record your votes. That bill reports 6-0. And Delegate Cole, would like to come up? I believe your bill is similar, it's actually more narrow than the bill we just passed.
Well, my bill, I know there's several bills you all dealt with, and I think one, Chairman Landis is on the floor. They all deal with similar issues in the articulation agreements and dual enrollment. Mine, I think, is just clarifying. Back several years ago, when we kind of mandated that our four-year institutions develop matriculation agreements with our community colleges, I was under the impression that, like, if somebody got an associate's degree in biology, that when they transferred those credits to the four-year institution, that they would get credits in their area of study. However, I understand that that is not in fact the case in some of our four-year institutions. What they're doing is they're accepting the community college credits, but not within the field of the major. They're accepting them as general education credits and making them take stuff that they may have already had at the community college. And mine just says, look, you gotta take them in the field of study if you have a similar field of study. If you don't, then all bets are off. But if you have a similar field of study, you have to give them credit within that field of study. And also it says you can't treat dual enrollment classes any differently than you do regular community college classes. Because I know we've had a problem with some high school kids thinking they're getting college credits, and then the schools don't want to give them college credit for it. So that's it. Really doesn't have any fiscal impact to me. It's just clarifying on what I thought we were voting on, 5 or 6 years ago when we originally passed the matriculation ordinance.
Okay, any questions for Delegate Cole? Anyone like to speak in favor of House Bill 1321?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Ellen Davenport with the Community College System, we support Delegate Cole's bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom Smith, Superintendent's Association. Again, clarity, and we would support whatever vehicle that the committee wishes to proceed with on it. It just points to the critical nature of what we're trying to do.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in favor of House Bill 1321? Any opposition? Okay. Any questions for Delegate Cole? Delegate Robinson and then Delegate Stalin.
So, Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, so yours is in the person's major, so,
That's correct.
and is that incorporated into Chairman Jones's bill at all, to be that specific to the major?
Chairman Jones's bill, when it puts it together, it addresses some of the same things. It talks about course mapping, it talks about what is a class going to mean when you take it, how will it transfer? Will it transfer to satisfy the requirements of the program? Or does it transfer just as a general elective? So they're both heading towards the same thing. Chairman Jones's bill obviously is a broader bill. Delegate Cole's correct, it's just a narrower version of it. It's a slice of it, if you will.
Delegate Stalin?
Would there be conflict between these two bills? Have those both moved on, or does Chairman Jones' bill negate essentially the effects of this bill?
I don't think that they would be in conflict, and I would assume as it gets enrolled that they would make sure that everything meshes together. I think that they overlap at a certain point, but in Chairman Jones' bill is on the outsides of those overlaps, so there would be a conflict.
Delegate Pointer, question?
That's a comment motion. It seems to me that Chairman Jones is broader, his bill is broader, and the differences may be worked out and passes and stuff. I'm going to move to table this bill. I think the other one address the bill is concerned.
Okay, is the motion to table?
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion on the motion?
It's non-debatable motion.
Thank you, Chairman Cole. See you tomorrow when you're actually chairing the committee on behalf. All right, please record your vote.
All right, thank you.
Now, Chairman Cole, I'll let you skip ahead because I know you're sick.
Yeah.
And I sit beside Chairman Cole on the House floor, so don't get sick and sick. Delegate Ransom.
Shall I lay down the microphone?
Yes, I'm sure.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I have House Bill 685.
Explain the bill.
Okay, I do have an amendment. You need to adopt the amendment, and then I can explain it.
Actually, I think it came over with the amendment from
Okay.
the previous committee.
So we're ready to go? Ready to go. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I have House Bill 685. It's a cybersecurity loan. What it does is it actually rewords an already established student loan grant program that exists in Chev. And what it does, in my opinion, and I worked with Lee at the State Council of Higher Education and also your appropriation staff, I believe it's gonna make this grant program work more efficiently. The proposal is a private-public partnership consisting of state funds, and it requires employers to match the funds. The proposal also requires the recipient to already be involved in the workplace, and they've proven their qualifications along with their commitment to the cybersecurity field. I'm bringing this, members of the committee, because the field of cybersecurity has become so competitive And I'm hoping with this public-private partnership, the Commonwealth can retain good qualified folks and recruit the most valuable graduates.
Okay, any questions? Anyone like to speak in favor of House Bill 685? Please come up and state your name and organization.
Hi, I'm Peter Blake. I'm the director of the State Council of Higher Education. We can make this work.
Okay.
That's
Let's support it. Let's make it work. Okay, anyone else like to speak in favor of House Bill 685? Anyone in opposition? Are those, okay, they're all announced, all right, so we're not in opposition? A motion?
Mr. Chairman, move to report.
Okay, the motion is to report and seconded. That is debatable. Any discussion? Please record your vote. All right, that bill reports 5-0. Thank you. Delegate Turpin, please come up and explain your bill.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I offer this with a amended substitution. No.
Okay, yes, there's a substitute. Would anyone like to move the substitute? Move the second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the substitutes before us. Delegate, please explain your substitute.
Thank you very much. This bill's true intent with these substitution is now clear. It only impacts veterans that are more than 90% disabled due to combat reasons. This bill does not include 90% disabled veterans who became disabled in any other way while in service of their country. This should significantly reduce the fiscal impact, not only to the state, but to the institutions of higher learning as well. As now written, the dependents and spouses of those 90% disabled due to combat have their college paid for or stipend through this fund, but not the veterans themselves. So this is simply to close what appears to be an unintended oversight, and other states like Texas have accounted for this oversight, and I believe the Commonwealth should do this for veterans who are 90% disabled due to combat duties.
Thank you. Any questions for the delegate? And you had someone that you wanted to testify?
He was coming from Roanoke and he encountered traffic, so he still hasn't arrived, but it's all right.
Oh, okay, okay. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of House Bill 1371? Any in opposition? Okay, any questions for Delegate Turpin? Delegate Poindexter?
Yes, ma'am. Isn't this already covered under the GI bill for the vocational rehabilitation and employment program?
Many of the veterans give their GI bills to their families. And this is just a little stipend. It's about $1,800. So it's already in the funds, and now it just makes those funds available for the veterans themselves.
Okay, any other questions? Lance?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just want to make sure I understand. So my understanding is, at least from information I guess we have, is that the fiscal impact is about $1.2 million for George Mason, ODU, and VCU, just alone.
Yes, sir. So that was on the original bill that was presented, and it kind of got misinterpreted through the fiscal impact statement. And really, it's just allowing the veterans access to funds that are already available. They're already part of the Women's Children's Fund. We've just expanded it to include the disabled veteran.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Lance.
Well, I guess the information we have, it doesn't matter whether it's the original bill or the substitute, fiscal impact is still the same.
Okay. My understanding is, as it's written now, this just gives the veterans the access to the funds that have already been established. So the impact is not this broad.
Question for myself. So if you're opening access to more people to a limited fund, then you would be cutting out some folks that the original intent of the fund was, correct?
Well, it's allowing.
If you don't expand the money.
Correct, I guess, so then there is a fiscal impact. I don't think it's nearly as extensive, maybe that's what I need to say. It's not nearly as extensive as originally proposed.
Any other questions? Motion is to pass by indefinitely. Any discussion? Please register your votes. Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you for your time.
Delegate Landis, you want to do your bill?
Thank you, Mr.
Delegate
Chairman.
Landis will present House Bill 897.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, as you all know, we pay a lot of attention and place a lot of emphasis on the specifics regarding the 6-year plan. And what this does is this will make some technical corrections due to the dates for the 6-year plans to make sure that certain reports are published in an appropriate time manner. There were some timing issues related to the reports that were actually being required to be published before actually all the information had been collected and the information was properly vetted before it was actually published. So this is just an attempt for timing more than anything, but Mr. Chairman, is again a technical change.
Okay, any questions for Delegate Landis? Anyone like to speak in favor of House Bill 897? Any in opposition? Motion to report, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, please vote. Record your votes. That bill records. Okay, thank you, Delegate Landis. Delegate Robinson, do you want to present your bill?
I'm good right there. Okay, thank you. So House Bill 1199 is just kind of a new product that Virginia 529 would like to introduce, and this would establish the parameters somewhat around that. I'm going to let the folks from 529 speak to the bill. The reason I carried this bill is because it will allow folks to maybe invest in 529 without that huge investment up front, and to invest in smaller dollar amounts so more people can participate in a college savings plan. But I would like to allow the folks from 529 to speak to the bill, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, come on up and please state your name and organization.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, I'm Jordan Forbes with Virginia 529, and we just want to thank Delegate Robinson for introducing this bill for us. The intent of this legislation is to ensure the long-term sustainability of pre-K 529 and simultaneously make the program simpler, more flexible, and more affordable for all Virginian citizens. The proposal would remove the complexity of the current program's calculation of 3 levels of benefits dependent on the type and location of schools, with different payouts for each school, and move to a simple and more flexible program that pays out a single benefit, a percentage of enrollment-weighted average tuition, currently around $12,000, that would be applicable at any higher education institution. Since the new program would utilize units instead of semesters, Virginia families could get started for less than $200 instead of the current starting point of $8,800. I think I have spoken with each of you or your staff on this proposal for the last 8 months. I've traveled the state meeting with universities. I've met with several legislators, so you won't hear anything more from me today, but I would like you to hear from Becky, and she works with us at Virginia 529 because she has been through this. She is such a believer in what we do. She has worked for the agency for 13 years. She's in our marketing department. She speaks to thousands of Virginians each and every year about saving for college. She's on the ground, she knows what they want, she knows what they need, and she herself sacrificed to put her son through our prepaid program. So, happy.
Thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure for me to be here. Thank you. As Jordan was saying, I do work for Virginia 529. That is true. I love our agency. I love our products. But more importantly, I'm a mom. My son is a freshman at CNU this year. He is there due to his mom saving in the prepaid program. And it was a sacrifice, like she says. I mean, there was many months that went by that I could have really used that money I was putting in the prepaid program, but I'm so glad that I did it. And also, as Jordan said, I travel the state speaking to your average Virginia resident about saving for college. These folks, as you all know, they just want what's best for their children. They want to get them into school. They want to be able to save and provide for these children. And they want to use the 529 program. And unfortunately, over the years, I've heard more and more people who love the prepaid. They love that ability that it's a safe bet to use. But unfortunately, the cost has gone up, and it has priced it out of a lot of families, in my opinion, to gain access to it. But it's still a product that I believe in and that the families out there want, and because they want to do anything they can to save for their children and let their children succeed. So I'm here in favor of Virginia 529 and our board and our executive team and all of you. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you. Anyone else? Ma'am?
I'm just here to answer your questions. Mary Morris, I'm the CEO at Virginia 529, so if you have any technical questions. There are a few other aspects of the bill that go into some other changes, so if you have any questions on those, we were looking to have a distribution account that would be outside. Right now, all of our prepaid payments have to go through the state treasury, so we're asking for some additional changes there, similar to what some higher education institutions have and that we use now on our Invest 529 program. There's another provision that would enhance or allow for some additional professional qualifications for some of our board members. So I'm just here to answer questions that you have. Say also, we started in August of 2015 studying the prepaid program. We've successfully run it for over 20 years. We want to have the program that is the best fit for the future of Virginia and Virginians and all of our families. So that's why we've spent the last 2.5 years working on this proposal.
Dale, point next.
Yes, I have a question for you. Believe me, I like 529. I have 3 grandchildren that are freshmen in college.
Good, I'd like to hear that.
But I'm a little concerned about expectations in terms of, I sort of get the impression that if we pass this bill, the parents are going to be expected that it's sort of like a defined benefit retirement program where I put this money in, I'm guaranteed that I'm going to have enough, and I can't control the university's raising tuition, so I think we might have a little problem there. Could you comment on that?
So, well, yes, that's one of the reasons that we are looking to change the benefit structure of the prepaid program. As we looked over the years at the changing tuition and fee policies in the Virginia public schools, and in particular the growing disparity in cost. We look right now, the least expensive school I think is about $9,000 in tuition and mandatory fees. The most expensive is over $23,000. The prepaid program right now is a one-size-fits-all, so everyone pays the same thing. We pay out based on what the tuition is. So we think it's been a good deal for families, and because there's a build-up in time, families start early, and we're getting them to start even sooner. That's one of the things that we're really proud of. We get families to start when they're infants and very young children. I don't know where they want to go to school, where they'll be able to go to school. And the prepaid program now is really structured to benefit most those families whose children go to the 3 or 4 most expensive Virginia schools. So the change in the program would be that the same benefit would be paid. It's still a defined benefit, so you still have some certainty in what you're going to get, but it would pay out at about the weighted average tuition, which is about a little over $12,000 right now. Based on the number of units you have, you would be able to tell. The way I see it, we're putting, letting the parents be in charge of how their funds are used. And if you only have 300 units, if you were only able to put in enough to get those, you might decide to go to a less expensive state school. If you bought extra units, you might cover, in addition to tuition and fees, some part of your room and board and books and other expenses. And so we really look at this change, sorry, need some water, as a way for the parents to have more flexibility, to have more control of what they're doing, still have that defined benefit and take out the market risk that you have in our Invest 529 and College America programs, which are great programs. We are, fortunately or unfortunately, about 10 times the number of new accounts are opened in our Invest 529 program every year as our prepaid program, because the cost of getting started has gotten so high. It's almost $9,000. That's the minimum that you can buy in right now for a semester. And you pay for it over time, but you have to make a payment every month. So we're looking to take some of that out with the new program as well.
Any other questions? Anyone like to speak in favor of House Bill 1199? Anyone like to speak in opposition? Okay. Joe Lance?
Mr. Chairman, before I make a motion, I think I understand the provisions of this. My only concern is with the rush of the General Assembly session. I know the folks from 529 have been out to speak to many members, including myself, but I just think there are more questions that we could consider over the next year that this subcommittee and that the Appropriations and Senate Finance Committee could talk about. So, Mr. Chairman, I would like to move that we carry over House Bill 1199 to the 2019 session under Rule 22.
Okay, there's a motion to carry over. Is there a second? Motion and seconded. Any discussion? All in, we'll vote on the, is that a voice vote? Okay, all in favor of carrying over, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Delegate Robinson. Thank you. We have one more bill in front of us, in front of the committee today. Delegate Leftwich, is he available?
No, he's still stuck in committees. Cannot, I'm Karen, see?
Yes, ma'am.
He's detained and I don't know when he'll be able to pull on.
Okay, his bill is very similar to one that was tabled earlier.
Yes.
Yes, it was PBI. So we can.
Mr. Chairman?
You have a motion?
I would actually, since the patron's not here, I would move that we table House Bill 748.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Okay, all in favor of tabling House Bill 748, record your votes. No other business before the subcommittee.